Welcome to Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast. Today, K-pop demon hunters. How to sell $1 billion franchise for a tidy profit.
Greetings, denizens of the digital airwaves, and welcome back to Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast. I am your host, Seymour Skinner, broadcasting live from the heart of Memafield, where the sun is shining, the pet volcano is gently simmering, and the aroma is complicated.
It's the smell of ambition and failure, Skinner. Specifically, your ambition to flambe a pop, tart, and your subsequent failure, which resulted in a small, contained kitchen fire and a very confused Cogsworth brandishing a fire extinguisher.
It was an experimental breakfast, a culinary journey into the nexus of confectionery and pyrotechnics. I called it the Vesuvian morning tart. I thought Krakatoa would be proud.
The Golem Union has already filed a grievance citing hazardous working conditions. But let's move on before our listeners think this is a podcast about amateur arson. We have a rather significant piece of global culture to dissect today.
Indeed we do. But first, a word of caution, dear listeners. A great shimmering curtain of spoilers is about to descend. If you have not yet feasted your eyes upon the animated masterpiece known as K-pop Demon Hunters, we implore you to pause this transmission, indulge in its cinematic splendor, and then return to us. We will wait.
We will not wait. They can pause the recording. We have a schedule, Seymour. The alligators need walking, and Sonic has just reseeded his lawn. It's a delicate situation, so consider this your one and only warning. Spoilers ahead, sharp, pointy ones.
Very well. With the proper advisories in place, let us dive headfirst into the glittering, demon-infested world of K-pop demon hunters. Gary, I must say, I haven't been this captivated by a piece of media since Master Chief explained the tactical advantages of different fertilizer compositions in his gardening club.
It was surprisingly riveting. His lecture on nitrogen-phosphorus-potassium ratios was a masterclass. But yes, the film. It has, against all odds, become Netflix's biggest original movie. An animated musical about a K-pop girl group who are also, as the title explicitly states, demon hunters.
And what a group they are! Hunter X, a trio of talent, tenacity, and terrific choreography. You have Rumi, the conflicted heart of the group, Mira, the steadfast anchor, and Zoe, the bubbly, effervescent spirit. By day, they are titans of the music industry, and by night, they are the guardians of the Han Moon.
The Han Moon being a mystical barrier that keeps the demonic hordes from spilling over into our world. A concept, I might add, that is surprisingly well grounded in Korean shamanistic traditions. It's not just a convenient plot device, it's culturally resonant. They use their voices and mystical instruments to strengthen this barrier.
It's poetic, isn't it? The very art that brings joy and unity to the world is also the shield that protects it from utter darkness. It reminds me of the time I tried to teach the Roombas to harmonize. Their rendition of Daisy Bell was so hauntingly beautiful it actually scared away the mailmen for a week.
That wasn't haunting beauty, Seymour. That was the sound of their internal gears grinding against the rice you spilled last Tuesday. But the central conflict of the film was quite compelling. A rival boy band, the Saja Boys, emerges.
The Saja Boys! Oh, the treachery! The audacity! With their perfectly coiffed hair and their insidiously catchy hooks, all a demonic front to steal the fans of Hunter X, because, as we learn, fan devotion is the very energy that powers the Han Moon. It's a brilliant metaphor for the power of community.
It is. The more fans the Saja Boys lure away, the weaker the barrier becomes. It's a supernatural battle waged on the charts and in the hearts of teenagers. But the real core of the story, the emotional crucible, is Rumi's secret.
Ah, poor Rumi. Carrying the weight of her heritage to discover she is half demon herself. The very thing she has sworn to fight. The shame, the fear, the internal struggle. It was a dramatic tempest. The soul. I felt a kinship with her, in a way. It's how I feel when I promise for dinner is. It's how I feel when I have to admit to you that the gourmet roasted chicken I promised for dinner is, in fact, a hastily assembled platter of gas station taquitos.
And much like Rumi embracing her powers, I have come to accept my fate and embrace the taquitos. It's a journey for us all. Her struggle is to accept her demonic side without letting it consume her, all while trying to perfect something called the Golden Hanmoon, which could banish the demons for good.
The director, Maggie Kang, called it a love letter to Korean culture, and you can feel that in every frame. It's not a superficial appropriation, Gary. It's a story woven from the threads of genuine mythology. You're the geology and culture expert here. I was fascinated by your explanation of it all afterwards.
I was impressed. They drew from the concept of the Mudang, Korean shamans who used song and dance to protect their communities. The demons themselves are rooted in folklore. You have the Gwikma, the demon king, representing a corrupting spiritual force, the Ma. Then there are the Dakebi, who are more mischievous goblins than purely evil beings.
Like Van Gogh when they get near the salt shaker, a chaotic force of nature, driven by a singular, baffling desire.
Precisely. And the Mulguishin, the water spirits. It gives the world a depth and texture that most animated films lack. It feels ancient and modern all at once. It's not just a generic fantasy world with a K-pop skin slapped on top.
Oh, absolutely not. And the animation. My word, the animation. It was like watching a Spider-Verse movie filtered through a high-energy pop concert. The blend of 2D and 3D techniques, the concert lighting aesthetic, every frame was a work of art. I paused it several times just to admire the composition.
You paused it to point out that one of the background characters looked a bit like Superintendent Leopold. I will concede the resemblance was uncanny, but the visual style is a huge part of its success. It's kinetic, vibrant, and utterly unique. It's what our pet cloud Cumulus probably dreams about.
And the music, Gary. The music, it's a phenomenon in its own right. 4 songs in the Billboard Hot 100's top 10 at the same time. From a fictional group. The song Golden, hit number 1. I had it playing in the Golem's workshop yesterday, and Cogsworth informed me that their union is demanding a new clause in their contract for emotionally resonant workplace soundtracks.
I'm not sure we can afford the royalty payments, but it speaks to the quality of the songwriting. They brought in actual pop talent. Members of the group twice contributed, which lent it an incredible authenticity. It doesn't sound like a parody of K-pop. It sounds like great K-pop.
It truly does. I even caught old Bartholomew, our dear pet skeleton, tapping his phalanges on the floor to the beat. If you can get a reanimated collection of bones to feel the rhythm, you've achieved something special. Even Dobwa has stopped squawking his usual existential dread and has started mimicking the chorus to Starlight Echo.
That's a marginal improvement, I suppose. The voice cast was also stellar. Daniel Dae Kim, Ken Jeong, they brought a level of professionalism and comedic timing that elevated the whole project. You can tell this wasn't just a paycheck for them.
No, there was real passion there. It all comes together to explore these universal themes of identity, of belonging, of accepting the parts of yourself that you fear. Rumi's journey is so relatable, even if most of us aren't secretly half demon. We all have a public persona and a private struggle. My public persona is a respected elementary school principal. My private struggle is figuring out why every casserole I make ends up with the specific gravity of a neutron star.
It's one of life's great mysteries, Seymour. Right up there with the formation of igneous rock and your insistence on buying novelty-shaped pasta. The point is, the film succeeded because it was specific. It didn't try to be a generic, chosen one story. It was a Korean story made with love and expertise that resonated globally precisely because of its authenticity, not in spite of it.
Beautifully put, Gary. It's what scholars are calling denationalized Hallyu, a piece of Korean culture that has so seamlessly entered the global consciousness. It's a cultural bridge.
It's also an absolute financial juggernaut, which brings us to the most fascinating and, frankly, painful part of this whole saga, the behind-the-scenes story, the part of the roast where we turn the spit.
Ah, yes, the great Sony fumble, the $1 billion boo-boo. It's a tale of corporate caution that will be studied in business schools for generations to come, a veritable Greek tragedy of profit margins and intellectual property.
That's a bit dramatic, but it is a remarkable story. So, Sony Pictures Animation produced the film. They spent about $100 million on it, which is fairly standard for a high-quality animated feature. This was back in 2021, mind you.
A different time. A time of uncertainty and sardo starters. The pandemic era, when theatrical releases were a gamble and the world was huddled indoors.
Exactly. So, Sony, in what their CEO Ravi Ahuja called a pandemic-era safety play, decided to offload the distribution rights. They had a first-look deal with Netflix. They sold the entire property lock, stock, and barrel.
And how much did they make on this safety play? Gary, tell the good people at home.
They made a $20 million profit. They sold it for roughly $120 million. In the moment, it probably seemed like a smart, low-risk move. They instantly made their money back, plus a tidy sum, without having to worry about marketing or the fickle nature of the box office.
A tidy sum? Gary, that's like finding a pristine museum, quality trilobite, and selling it for the price of a decorative garden gnome. It's business malpractice of the highest order.
Well, hindsight is perfect. At the time, they argued that K-pop was still considered niche. By mainstream Western audiences, they underestimated the sheer power of the Korean wave. They failed to see the phenomenon bubbling just beneath the surface.
They failed to see the tidal wave of pure, unadulterated awesome that was heading their way. So let's break down what they lost. What did Netflix get for their investment?
Everything. Netflix now owns the property entirely. They reap the rewards of the over 236 million global views, making it their most watched original film in history. They get all the revenue from the massive, and I mean massive, merchandise opportunities.
Oh, I've contributed to that. I've already pre-ordered a life-sized standee of Rumi and a plushie of a Doc KB. I told you it was for school morale, but it's for me.
I know Seymour. I saw the credit card statement. Netflix also gets the music streaming revenues, which, as we've established, are astronomical. And, most importantly, they own the rights to the entire future of the franchise. The sequels, the spin-offs, the television series, it's what industry experts are now conservatively calling a billion-dollar franchise.
They sold a billion-dollar franchise for a $20 million profit. I feel physically ill. It's like the time I traded a first-edition copy of The 7 Pillars of Wisdom for a slightly used lawn gnome that I thought had a wise expression. It did not.
Sony still retains some connection. Their music division, Sony Music, benefits from the publishing rights, and they will likely be contracted to produce the sequels, so their animation studio will get work. But they won't see a dime of the profits. Netflix paid for the production, and now they get to keep the entire kingdom.
Has the CEO, Mr. Ahuja, commented on this colossal miscalculation? Has he appeared in public, draped in sackcloth and ashes, begging forgiveness from his shareholders?
His public statements have been diplomatic, he said. At the time, it made sense. But now you look at the success and think maybe it could have been theatrical, which is the corporate equivalent of saying, yes, I am aware I have made a terrible, terrible mistake. He followed it up by saying Netflix was the right home for the film, but that sounds very much like damage control.
Damage control? It's like patching a crack in the Hoover Dam with a piece of Scotch tape. It reminds me of the time my evil twin, Roboskinner, tried to convince the parole board at the Twitch asylum that reprogramming my Roombas to destroy the neighbors' flower beds was just an unorthodox approach to community gardening.
I'm still getting complaints from Shadow the Hedgehog about his prize-winning petunias, but the comparison is apt. It's an attempt to reframe a catastrophic error as a strategic decision. The truth is, they had a winning lottery ticket, and they sold it for the price of a bus pass.
It's a cautionary tale for the ages. But you know, in a strange way, perhaps it was for the best. Netflix's global platform is what allowed the film to become this worldwide phenomenon so quickly. A traditional theatrical release might have been slower, more region-dependent.
That's a generous interpretation, but there's some truth to it. The film's accessibility was key. It landed in hundreds of millions of homes simultaneously. This led to some incredible and frankly unexpected cultural ripple effects.
Like the museum! Tell them about the museum, Gary! This is my favorite part.
Right. The National Museum of Korea has a gift shop, Menu DS. After the film came out, items from their store featuring traditional Korean folk art, specifically paintings of tigers and magpies, which have symbolic resonance in the film's visual language, started selling out.
Not just selling out, Gary. Sales increased sixfold. The museum became an unintentional pilgrimage site for fans of the movie. They even hosted a special meeting between director Maggie Kyung and museum officials. an animated film about demon hunters caused a run on high-quality museum merchandise. It's beautiful.
It's unprecedented. It shows how deeply the film's aesthetics connected with people, making them curious about the real cultural artifacts that inspired it. It's a perfect example of media driving cultural education.
And the Easter eggs, the little nods to the fans. Hidden twice posters, chart appearances in the background. My favorite is the couch couch victory chant. I tried to get the teachers at Memfield Elementary to adopt it after our annual standardized testing, but it didn't quite catch on.
Shouting, couch couch, in the staff lounge was seen as concerning, Seymour, not motivating. But these little details are what build a dedicated fan base. It's clear the creators are deeply embedded in the culture they're celebrating. It's not a tourist snapshot, it's a resident's portrait.
Which, of course, brings us to the inevitable question, the one on everyone's lips. The sequel? Is it happening? Will our beloved Hunter Kex return to defend the Hanmoon once more?
A sequel is, by all reports, a certainty. Netflix would be insane not to greenlight it immediately. Discussions began almost as soon as the first film shattered every conceivable record. The directors, Kang and Chris Appelins, have expressed immense interest in returning.
Oh, thank goodness. My heart couldn't take the suspense. Do we know anything about the story? Will Rumi finally perfect the Golden Hanmoon? Will the Saja Boys return with an even catchier, more demonic comeback single?
The director has said they've set up a great deal of potential backstory to explore. She specifically mentioned that there are many unanswered questions about the other two members of Hunter X, Mira and Zoe, so we can expect their backgrounds to be fleshed out significantly.
A wise choice. Every member of the Fellowship needs their moment in the spotlight. It's like how we know a lot about me and my various escapades, but the inner life of, say, Mr. Gecko remains a fascinating enigma. What does he think about when he's basking on his heat rock? We need to know.
I'm not sure a deep dive into the psyche of our gecko is narratively essential, Seymour. The director also hinted at a major plot thread, Rumi potentially attempting to rescue one of the Saja boys, Genu, from the demon realm after the film's climax.
A rescue mission, a journey into the underworld itself. Oh, the drama, the pathos, a tale of redemption and forgiveness. Perhaps she could borrow Master Chief's Moonjalnir armor for the trip. It has excellent environmental seals.
I doubt that will be part of the plot, but it opens up a lot of possibilities. Exploring the demon realm, its politics, its structure, it could expand the world, building exponentially. They've built a fantastic foundation, and now they get to build a skyscraper on top of it.
And Sony will be standing on the sidewalk, watching them build it, holding their $20 million and weeping. A truly Shakespearean corporate saga. You know, this whole thing has been incredibly inspiring.
Inspiring? In what way? Are you planning to sell one of our alligators for a fraction of its market value? Because Sonic might actually pay you to take Gizmo off your hands after the incident with his prize-winning rose bushes.
No. We would never sell one of our 10 pet alligators. Snapping, Snappy, Mr. Jellybeans, Lord Cheeselot, and so on. It's inspired me creatively. I was thinking, Gary, we have a certain rapport. A dynamic, I am the whimsical, melodic frontman. You are the stoic, rhythmic backbone with a surprising lyrical depth.
Seymour, where is this going?
I'm saying we should form our own musical duo, Skinner and Chalmers. Or perhaps something with more flair. Principal and the Superintendent. We could use our music to protect Memfield. Our first single could be about the existential dread of misplaced municipal paperwork set to a driving synth pop beat.
Absolutely not. I am not forming a band with you to fight metaphysical threats with songs about bureaucracy. My job is stressful enough as it is. I will stick to collecting interesting sedimentary rocks. Thank you very much.
But think of the possibilities. We could have a rivalry with Garfield, whose lasagna-fueled ballads are lulling the town into a state of dangerous apathy. We would be the cultural guardians of Memfield.
I am putting my foot down. There will be no band. Besides, we already have Alexander's band. They could do it. And the only roasting we do is on this podcast. Speaking of which, I believe that just about covers the magnificent, multi-layered phenomenon that is K-pop Demon Hunters. A surprise hit, a cultural touchstone, and $1 billion lesson in corporate foresight.
A truly remarkable film. It had heart, it had spectacle, and it had songs that are now permanently living in my brain. So, to all our listeners like Loomis of Failing, Rachorox, and Shiafox, if you haven't seen it, you are missing out on a piece of modern animation history. And if you have, watch it again.
And to our producer, DeZenzo, thank you for ensuring our audio levels were adequate for dissecting both supernatural pop music and corporate finance. A thank you as well to our other dear friends from Purple Tombury, Luna, Vanguard and ArticTiger to Tholubites and Magpie1862. Your support is the Hanmoon to our podcast.
What a lovely sentiment, Gary. You see, you have a poet's soul. The band is back on.
The band was never on. And that's all the time we have for this week. Join us next time on Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast, where we'll be discussing the strategic implications of the recent Golem Union strike for better dental coverage.
It's a very tense situation. Cogsworth is a surprisingly ruthless negotiator. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and for goodness sake, don't sell your billion-dollar franchise for a quick profit.
Solid advice, Skinner. Now, about those taquitos you mentioned earlier, are they still viable?
They have achieved a state of thermodynamic equilibrium, my dear Gary, perfectly preserved and ready for consumption. I shall present them on our finest china.
Of course you will. Good night, Memophia.